All right, what's up, Keyforgers? Welcome to the final refrain. We are here. It's been a bit of a interesting evening, but we've got a matchup for you. This one was a little bit short notice, and there's a little bit of timing stuff that happened. So, long story short, I don't have the decks for us. I have one, but I think we'll just go through them in the game once we get in there. So, let's go through our players. Here's our bracket as it stands. Uh, I forgot to do the little one. So basically, there's an empty spot in the middle here, which is. Do we get one of the decks? Oh, we got the other deck. Awesome. Okay. So we've got Stormstrong and BHawk. BHawk getting the late win against Algernon in that delayed game. So that is the one we're going to be doing tonight, Stormstrong versus BHawk. So we've got Stormstrong, 2024 Kagi Live champion, staple of Kagi play. Been around for a while doing this. Always good to see and always playing some fun decks here. And then we've got BHawk, the KFC. I don't know how to put all that together, but obviously Midwest champion. BHawk is a very scary name online, always doing some good stuff and lots of stuff, but also doing all the charity events and obviously running that pretty well, doing lots of good stuff. So let's go ahead and get into these decks and then we'll let them get started. Again, apologies, we get the slides done for this one because it was a little bit shorter notice. I'm going to move my face for just a minute. Where's my face? On the left, we've got the Unclean Assembly rep of Everwillow. This is the Amber Skies deck, which is Stormstrong's, one of their favorites. Very, very good. Cool deck, very interesting, very fast, but also still some interesting decision points, especially with how the Titan Sentry reacts to other decks and everything. And on the other side, we've got a Coda deck. So another Coda deck we're seeing today. This is going to be Vera of Harchapel. Looks like an also decently fast, but also decently disruptive double life ward against all these creatures, those Mars creatures, especially that Stormstrong is trying to bring. We've got some Grasping Vines for no upgrades, so those aren't going to be doing too much. Secret Needles, Customs Office, also not doing too much there, but the Secret Needles are always good, especially the Bad Penny. Looks like a pretty fair coded deck, I would say. So we'll see how that goes. Not much artifact control on the Amber Skies side, so those life wards at least are going to be doing some damage. But we've got the game up here. Let's go ahead and get it going. And I need to change our player names here really quick. Oh, I got it going. And I'll bring myself back. All of my dark wonder here. I need to work on my lighting, but it's okay. All right, so we got BHawk on. What's the name of this deck again? Vera of Harchapel. And our scores are going to be back to 0. Looks like BHawk will be going first with the Coda deck, so the Coda deck will be going first each game here. Let's see, I'm going to reduce the size of this one just a little bit. And make BHawk a little bigger here. All right, we are good to go. Waiting for these players to check out these decks. Again, decks are all hidden, so neither of these players have seen their opponent's deck until right now. So taking some time to take a look at it, and now we'll see if they do any mulligans or things like that, and we'll get into the game. Yeah, BHawk's deck will be going first. I'm just all about the catchphrases today. Pause for the logs. We had the Skippy Scrappers earlier today. Okay, so we've got the Life Ward coming down right away, but Stormstrong going into calling Mars, but playing the Eureka. Always an interesting one. That's the only card you play, so probably got a few, or at least one Mars card archived there. Silvertooth coming down, and then the old Bruno capturing. I don't think we looked too much at how much creature control there is in Stormstrong's deck, but I think it's not actually a ton. We've got Contract Execution. I never remember what Game Changer even does. I think that's a creature that gives your other Equidon creatures stuff. Mind Over Matter is going to do some archiving. Connectomes, 3 Connectome transfers is plenty of creature control, but also only archiving. So Old Bruno and Silvertooth, not the best things to be just thrown into the archives because they will just come back. Mars turn here, we've got Doctor and Zip, the classic combo with the intentional discharge. So we're going to see that Zip take in probably that Silvertooth. You definitely don't want to pull the Old Bruno and then give up all that Amber to your opponent. Yep, Zip is just going to reap and take control of that Silvertooth and blow it up. Unless there's another intentional discharge coming here. I think you still... well, we'll see. If you have another intentional discharge, you might kill the Zip, but then you have to bounce this back to BHawk's hand. Yeah, we're just going to see it destroyed there. I guess with the intentional discharge, you can still do it off of this because you just bounce the Zip back to hand and then discard it again. But we'll see if Stormstrong has another one. Yep, there's the second one. So more bursting happening here. But here, yeah, you don't actually want to play the Zip because you don't want to have to take the old Bruno. All right, BHawk playing fast here, blows up the Mars with, the Gateway, and we get the Amber Imp and that first Life Ward going off and the second Life Ward coming down. So plenty of disruption here and stopping the key, very importantly, with that Shaffles. This is pretty prime for a Connectome transfer. I think you probably want to get that Ember Imp in the middle there. We'll see if it matters. Yeah, there's the Code Monkey, discard, and then the Connectome transfer to wipe that stuff off the board. But again, can't play any of these creatures. And BHawk going to be able to just put those right back out if he wants to. Yep, Shaffles. Ember Imp. Let's see if he's got another creature to block that with. Again, there are 3 Connectomes in here and the Mind Over Matter, so pretty decent chance those get scooped up again. No, does not find it. Doesn't pop the other Life Ward either, though, so hoping that this Ember Imp is enough to kind of slow things down here on Stormstrong's side. Do have 2 Harmonic Packs as well, which deal with these smaller creatures. So I guess the creature control isn't too bad in here. Maybe I was thinking of a different deck. Again, the Amber control we do know is pretty low, but it's such a fast deck that's usually not a huge issue. Harmonic Pack taking care of the Shaffles rather than the Ember Imp. It really wants to get this check through, but that means you're leaving that Ember Imp for another turn. We've got a Untamed turn coming here, so this should be some decent burst for BHawk. Vigor, Regrowth, getting up to check here. Returning the old Bruno, and there's the Nature's Call, bouncing that Doctor back to hand. And the key charge for the first key here. Just trying to sneak it through beforehand, and then there's the Life Ward, gonna again stop any creatures from coming down on Stormstrong's side. See if Stormstrong has an answer to this Ember Imp. Lots of disruption coming down though from BHawk's side. Vested Herald getting discarded, which will get rid of the Ember Imp at least for a turn, putting it into the archives. Again, with that logo suite we got in Stormstrong's deck, you do want to kind of avoid, if you can, having too much archives. Stormstrong just playing some security details for Amber there. We see BHawk going right back into this, getting that Reap Hecatomb, and then the Ember Imp coming back down. Trying hard to stick this Ember Imp, but I just... not sure. Flotsam Spike. Not going to do anything, but that contract execution is pipped into Mars, so that is going to be able to take out this Ember Imp. But if Stormstrong wants to play any more creatures beyond that, oh, can't play any creatures because of the Ember Imp. So possibly a little bit of a mistake there. Just kind of getting trigger happy, getting some cards out. There is the Shadow Self and the old Bruno. So now that Ember Imp is a lot more protected. Have to have double connectomes here almost. Yeah. And what do you know? There's double connectomes and the Titan Sentry, which means that those archives are stuck there. So very scary spot here for BHawk. Stormstrong getting into check and getting that archives stuck for a possible Empyrean charge. But BHawk also getting to check here, getting the Full Moon Dust Pixie, and then just discarding that Save the Pack. What answers does BHawk actually have to this Titan Sentry, though? Gateway is gone. You can control the weak to at least stop it for another turn. But your Shadows isn't really doing a whole lot, and your Untamed just has the Nature's Call. So, gonna be pretty hard time getting past this. So if Stormstrong is able to find that Empyrean charge, it could be pretty rough here. Ooh, Pawn Sacrifice is going to help. So that'll be able to deal with this Game Changer to slow down some of that stealing. And then my guess is you just throw the 3 damage on the Titan Sentry, even though you did already discard your Save the Pack, unfortunately. Ooh, just goes for the double kill and then gets the double dodgers down. Again, though, at this point, you kind of just have to hope there's no Empyrean charge. Except I guess Empyrean charge isn't quite going to get a key cheat here. The not getting any creatures connect-domed on Stormstrong side does make it harder. But having all this locked down for BHawk is pretty rough, especially even just if it gets all discarded, that's going to be painful. There's some good stuff in there. Stormstrong, having to think about this one, though. Where to go next? So we just saw an Equidon turn. We still have a little bit of the Mars left, another Doctor, yeah, and then another Discharge. I believe we've seen 2 discharges, yeah, but not the third one. But all that creature control in Mars is gone outside of the zip. So if you can get that Doctor out and ready, you can pull that zip back to take out one of these Dodgers. But it might just be throwing down some creatures right now. There's the Doctor, which I think this is the same one that's been in hand for quite a while. So it might actually be second Doctor. Oh no, that one. Maybe he's had second Doctor for a bit. Okay, so there's Code Monkey, and then the Intentional Discharge there is going to bring back second Doctor off of that, and then that Doctor is going to bring back probably that zip, yeah, and then take out one of these Dodgers, which is, again, one of the few ways I think BHawk was going to be able to deal with that Titan Sentry, so really rough there, and then this Mars board is going to be tough to deal with. Ooh, and there's the Harmonic Pact to deal with the other Dodger anyways, so maybe it wasn't going to matter. Yeah, discards. Oh, discards his own card there. It just gets rid of the swapper and then has the Code Monkey to just burst up there, putting both of those Doctors into the archives. So now things are set up for the Empyrean charge, even if you don't get the key here. But yeah, pretty rough. I think BHawk tried to get the disruption going, and this deck just had one too many answers for it. It's tough though. I think there's, well, I mean, even when it was Connectome the first time, when the sequencing or kind of placement could have been a little bit different. I think only 1 or 2 cards are played anyways, so it's hard to know if there was actually anything else BHawk could have done there. It's not over yet. We do get the Charette and the Lash of Broken Dreams down, but Amber control in this deck is pretty limited to capturing, so not sure this is going to hold off much longer, and we already saw the key charge get played, so can't really burst up and save yourself with that here. Okay, going into Logos, and then there's the Empyrean charge for the win in game 1, going to Stormstrong. Let's go ahead and get the logs. And we will go ahead and give Stormstrong game 1 win here. Interesting matchup. Very, very fast, right? Both of these decks. Well, the Amber Skies deck is just gaining Amber with pretty much every card it plays. Makes it a little bit tough, and the Coda deck just not having great answers to that. So you really do need to get the disruption sort of at the right time, I think. And then you might have to really just hope for the key charge for key 3, because I think once you kind of get to a certain point, it's going to be really tough for this Coda deck to keep momentum into what the Amber Skies is doing. But not having an answer for the Titan Sentry is really rough. There's, again, not a ton of creature control over here, especially if you don't get like the Seeker Needles down and stuff. You don't get that ping damage to at least get rid of it over a couple turns. Okay, so again, with the first turn rules, Stormstrong is going to be going first here with Shadows. Plays a Customs Office again. Has literally no value in this matchup due to the lack of artifacts in Stormstrong's deck. But we do see BHawk getting a Eureka there for some Amber, and then the Code Monkey coming down just for some board presence. Stormstrong going into this. Let's see if it's going to be a mirror match. We've seen that a bit so far, where these game 2s actually have very similar starts to the game 1, and then game 3 just looked completely different. Doom and Dance of Doom. I think I missed that one. That's also a pretty good one for taking out the Titan Sentry, but it's possible it got archived by the Titan Sentry. You know, you never know. Control the Weak back into Logos, though, for BHawk is interesting. It has nothing. Yikes, that is brutal. All right, so there's the Life Ward. There's Grasping Vines for nothing, and then the Bear Flute and Vigor and Witch of the Eye. All right, so pretty big Untamed turn there, but that is a decent amount of pips. Getting to check though, and BHawk doesn't have a way to capture because you can't play creatures this turn. I might just have to let this one go through. You could maybe have the out negotiate here. Oh, interesting. BHawk going Logos again, despite just passing the turn last turn. Pulls the archives this time, Connectome transfers, Empyrean charges, and then passes. Yeah, so I don't think these are getting some pretty unoptimal turns from BHawk's side on this match, unfortunately. Some rough draws, I think. But no Life Ward now, so this Mars could be a pretty decent build up here. We've got the Eldest Dispatchminder coming down. Oh no! Oh, poor BHawk having to discard 3 intentional discharges because cannot draw another Mars creature. Okay, so this is a real rough start for this deck. Still gets the check, gets the windshield on here, so this is elusive. Can technically still kill it with the shadows here, but hard to know if that's actually worth it. Versus maybe getting some disruption down. Trying to stop the key. I guess the shadows does stop the key, even if you just fight into the elusive. But really brutal draw here for BHawk. That's not what you want to see when you got the deck that already lost game 1, or won game 1. There's a lights out hitting the Batchminder there. We've got the Seeker Needles coming down, and then just some Reaping. Or I guess we do have the one fight to stop the key. BHawk going back into Mars here. Gonna get some damage on the Shadow Self. It's just gonna be 2 though. No archives to discard here. Doctor coming down. And then there's the Batchminder. I think you need one more creature here. If you don't have it, you're in a rough spot. Ooh, Code Monkey. All right, so just gonna go for the burst rather than try to build a board. I don't mind that. Again, a lot of the Amber control in here is going to be capture base, and we do see that Shrek coming down, taking out that key or that check, and then the Ember Imp as well, right next to the Shadow Self, being in major pain. See if BHawk can find a few more Connectomes here. If you have Flotsam Spike, it's also possible to deal with this board. Or a decent chunk of it. Code Monkey fights into the Shadow Self. Kind of wonder if BHawk was expecting that to die there. Maybe not. Okay, so I mean the Shadows deck hasn't been gaining, or the Coda deck hasn't been gaining a ton of Amber. Stormstrong does need to kind of get that momentum back after playing out sort of this more defensive dis turn. But we do see the Shadows turn here. Just going to Reap with the Shadow Self and then fighting into the Batchminder there just to get that threat off the board. Silvertooth coming down, but not really going to be able to do much here besides just Reap, which is still fine. I think getting to check here is still pretty good for this Coda deck, especially since we haven't seen that Key Charge yet. If you can get to Key 2, Key Charge 3 is a walk-off, or Key Charge is a walk-off win. Dodger 2, though, is pretty big. Getting to the point where, I mean, Mind Over Matter plus Titan Sentry could be really, really nice. Are going to see some pings going on to that Doctor just to try and slowly whittle it down after getting those pips on it. We'll see. See what BHawk can do here. It's not looking great, though. The Shadows line is pretty tough, and you still have that Ember Imp to deal with. 8 damage on the Shadow Self, though, which means it can be killed by a fight. BHawk having to go back into Mars here. Yeah, man, just losing all these intentional discharges is so brutal. I don't know if we saw if BHawk did mulligan this one or not. Be pretty brutal to have that after a mulligan. Okay, there's a contract execution. So that's going to get you a ping on the Shadow Self with that Eldest Batchminder coming back. And now you have 2 fights if you want them. Taking out the Ember Imp. Let's see if he's got another card to play here. I've already technically played 2. I guess the Ember Imp's gone, so it doesn't matter now. But I can't imagine he's got too many more. Ooh, Harmonic Pack. All right. Captures onto the Doctor, so able to stop this key. I think that's actually really, really big for BHawk here. Having that capture pip just to stop that key 2 is massive. Does leave a bunch of scary shadows on the board, but Stormstrong has gone shadows several times here. We do get some extra pips going down from the Batchminder. So can't, well, you still can get a little bit of value off these Dodgers, but Stormstrong going into Untamed here might see the Key Charge here. Just to force through this Key 2. Got the Full Moon. Ancient Bear, and I'm trying to remember. Okay, so this only searches and finds them if you have none in hand. There's a Nature's Call to bounce some stuff. Ancient Bear comes back down. There's the Key Charge. Going to spend 7 Amber on that key, but getting up to Key 2. Removing some of that board pressure. And again, just it's so easy to bounce that Mars when you know there's no intentional discharges left. Makes such a difference. BHawk does get Key 2 here, though. Really needs to find like that Mind Over Matter or something like that. We get the out negotiate for steal. So getting up to check here with Key 2. Playing down some smaller stuff. Sadly, these are going to be small enough that the Dodgers can sort of deal with them pretty easily. A security detail there for some more amber, some more capture. Not out of it yet. Transparency report for 2 more. So we're going to see Connectome, Batchminder, and Doctor in there. So Connectome, not too bad to see. Yeah, we are going to see the Shadows Call. Probably not going to be able to stop this key, although it is going to be some stealing. It's not going to be quite enough, but we are going to get some extra value off these Secret Needles. You can kill your swapper there, get that extra amber, and then reap, but not quite get to check. We'll see. Oh, he's got the second Silver Tooth. And the bad penny for the Secret Needle kill. Going up to 7. Not sure there's too many more answers in this deck for that. If you have them, they'd mainly be in... Oh, there's the Mind Over Matter. There's the Batchminder, Doctor, but you don't have your Capture Pips anymore. Wow, so taking it 2-0. Really, really rough draw there for BHawk, I think. But that's how it goes sometimes. But there you go. So Stormstrong taking it 2-0. Yeah, that is a heartbreaker. That was a very rough game. I mean, this, like, I can just imagine two turns in and your hand is Batchminder, 3 intentional discharges and a windshield. Like, just what do you do at that point? Really, really rough, especially after the Eureka start and stuff. You think you're kind of getting some good momentum, but Stormstrong able to sort of put together a decent disruption board as well, getting that life ward down, and then I think getting the Witch of the Eye down. BHawk really focused on dealing with that, spent a lot of cards on it. Oh, interesting. So BHawk saying, I knew I was in trouble as soon as I lost the first game. I feel like this is, maybe that's the tricky thing, is I thought this was a pretty well favored into the Amber Skies deck, just because if it gets an Amber lead, this Coda deck has very few answers for stopping it. Yeah, the Ember Imp next to the Shadow Self was really, really brutal. And then not having the board clears or anything. So, man, tough one. Do we actually get someone named Wrinkled Russell right after JT gets in here? What's going on? Should have discarded the Equidon. Okay, let's see. Did I copy these in? I don't know if I did. Did not. Ooh, that is game 1. I don't want game 1. Glad I checked that. That would have been awful. So, fun news is the stream is not over. We're going to switch over, but we now get to do a KTL match versus SC Steel. Did have to push this one back a little bit because this actually ended up getting scheduled at the same time Sydney and I were going to play. And I was worried that this was going to be a long game. But then Stormstrong brought 35 expected Amber deck. I was like, okay, this could still end fast. So sadly, it did only end in 2 games instead of 3, but that's how it goes. Congrats to Stormstrong, and yeah, we will see you next time on the final refrain. Take care, everybody.